Hey Omnibus Collectors, it's Riley and I'm back with another Omnibus of the Week. So a couple weeks ago I covered the third and middle volume of Ed Brubaker's Captain America run, Captain America Lives, and this time we're doing the fourth, penultimate volume of the run, Captain America, The Trial of Captain America. So like I said, it's by Ed Brubaker. There's a ton of material in here, so let's just dive right into this video. But first, let's take a look at the dust jacket here. The cover, we got a nice image of Bucky right here as in his Winter Soldier costume. At the bottom, there's an image of him in his Captain America costume. This is one of the covers from the issues inside, obviously. So the book includes a lot of different issues. We have Captain America, Who Will Wield the Shield #1. That was a one-shot that happened after the the Captain America Reborn miniseries. Then it goes straight into Captain America number 602 through 619 and 615.1. Steve Rogers Super Soldier number 1 through 4. Captain America number 1 through 10. That's the 2011 series. And it's all written by Ed Brubaker, and then all the artists that I listed on the side are the ones that worked on the series. So there's a lot of different material from different places because at this time, and I'm going to have some spoilers in here, this is after Steve Rogers came back to life at the end of Captain America Reborn, and Bucky was acting as Captain America already for the past, couple years or so. And there was the Who Will Wield the Shield issue came out because they were asking, who's going to be the one to continue with the mantle of Captain America. So there was a little bit of a debate with it, and people were talking about, I remember at the time, people were saying, I want Bucky to stay, and I want Steve to become Cap again. And so what they wound up deciding to do was Bucky would remain as Captain America, and then meanwhile, Steve became Super Soldier, and he was he was working straight for S.H.I.E.L.D. His costume looked like the one that we see in the Winter Soldier movie, so that's where they got that inspiration from, and it's also the one that the current Nick Fury Jr. In the 616 universe wears, that dark blue with the white stripes and star on it. So Steve goes on and does that. He's basically like America's, or the world's top cop during this time, rather than being Captain America, but he has a hologram shield that he uses. Meanwhile, Bucky continues being Cap with his blue shiny costume and his actual shield, and that's basically what's going on in here. So that's why we have that Steve Rogers Super Soldier miniseries. As the series goes forward, we see Bucky's run as Cap end with issue number 619, and this went into the Fear Itself event series that was written by Matt Fraction. And here's spoilers for Fear Itself, so if you haven't read that, then be warned. In that, Bucky dies. They believe him to die. Sin, the daughter of the Red Skull, smashes his chest in with a hammer. She breaks the shield, if I recall correctly, and he dies. Nick Fury grabs Bucky's body, brings him back to life, and but the world does not know that Bucky Barnes is still alive. Given that they don't know, Steve Rogers takes on the mantle of Captain America again, and that's why we have the 2011 series with Steve Rogers back wielding the shield. So that's a brief, summary of what's in this volume. So let's take a look at the book itself. The front cover, we have an image of the shield itself. There's a little bit of battle damage on it. On the spine, Captain America, Trial of Captain America. And on the back, just black and blank. As we've had with all of the Captain America ones before this, there is a glossary of all the creators and whatnot. So like a table of contents showing us all the different creators on each issue and what the storylines are called, starting of course with the Who Will Wield the Shield one-shot, and then going through all the rest of the stuff, so we can have a good idea here of the many different artists, not just the ones that I named off before, but even more like Ed McGuinness and Howard Chaykin and others, Mike Deodato. A lot of people are actually in here. And it starts out with a brief summary of what's happened before. It says, in the wake of the superhuman civil war, and then it goes on to explain what happened with Steve dying and him coming back to life recently. And then we go straight into the actual comic itself with the artwork from Who Will Wield the Shield. And let's go and check out the back. So there's a decent chunk right here of back matter. And a lot of that is going to be, as usual, a bunch of variant covers for the series and the different comics that were in there. So the first one being the Who Will Wield the Shield one-shot, and there's a cover showing Bucky and Cap, Bucky and Steve in their Cap uniform. And there's the Deadpool variant for one of the issues of Captain America. There was a month, because as you know, they have been doing for a while, every month there's a different, almost every month there's a different variant incentive for a bunch of the issues, and back during this time they had a Deadpool month, and a bunch of the issues had Deadpool covers, so Captain America is one of those that had a Deadpool cover. There's the Heroic Age variant. During the beginning of the Heroic Age, a ton of the series had those variants where it was the main character standing atop what made them look like a statue. And then there's the Women of Marvel variant, another one of those monthly variant covers, so that one featured Black Widow on the cover of Captain America, and there was a bunch of different ones for all the different series highlighting different women of Marvel. I believe that the Women of Marvel Omnibus was also released around that time. We have the Vampire variant and the I Am Captain America variant. So the Vampire variant, I believe, was when Victor Gischler's X-Men series was launching, where the X-Men were going up against the vampires, and the I Am Captain America variant was towards when the movie was hitting the theaters, and it was basically a bunch of different covers of normal people dressed up like being Captain America. There's some variants for the Super Soldier miniseries. There's a variant for the first issue of the 2011 series, Singapore variant, and the movie variant for the 2011 series. There's a Canada variant and the Architects variant, 50th anniversary variant, and the Venom variant. The 50th anniversary one is obviously supposed to look like the Days of Future Past, and then the Venom variant, that's another month. They did a bunch of Venom variants for all the different comics. Art Appreciation variant and the Avengers Magazine variant. Much of the rest of the back matter in here is part of this Red, White, and Brew, where it's interviews talking to Ed Brubaker and different artists about the tenure on the series and how Brubaker basically reinvigorated Captain America and changed up and did a whole bunch of stuff with the character. And then the rest of the material for the back matter, we've got several sketch pages, and those are sketch pages by Butch Juice or Butch Geis, however you actually pronounce it. I'm sure someone will let me know if I'm wrong. And there's one sketch page by Chris Samney. And there's a look at the binding, so you know that it does have just as good as the binding has always been on Marvel's Omnis. I can look right through just how we like it, so it's very easy to read it. It stays flat from page 1 till the final page of the book, and you have no worry about gutter loss or the book slamming closed on you while you're trying to read. So I've mentioned before that Brubaker's run on Captain America is one of my personal favorite comic series of all time. His run is just fantastic. I've never been into the character before I started reading his run. I'd known him and I'd been interested in him through his appearances on Team Books, but it was really when I started reading Brubaker's run that I really got into it. I know I said really like 3 times. So this is actually my favorite part of his entire run. And it might be because this is kind of where I started reading his run, and I went back after starting with, I guess I started with Reborn, but then I read the Bucky stuff from 602 and forward, so I was more familiar with Bucky, and I got really enamored with his character and him being Captain America. And then I went back and I picked up that first omnibus and I read forward, and I really appreciated his run after that because you can see how it all ties together and how it reads as one solid cohesive story leading up to this point. And really you can argue that, just how people say that Star Wars is really the story of Anakin Skywalker, you could say that Brubaker's Captain America is really the story of Bucky Barnes, because you see Bucky's return, you see his his fall, you see his rise, him becoming Captain America, and then later he becomes the Winter Soldier again, kind of falling into his own as a hero for himself. So this was my favorite part of the series. I thought that it had really just amazing artwork. The artists that were present on these issues were just incredible. Especially, I think Butch Juice did a fantastic job. He really channels Jim Steranko in here. He does those pages where you have really epic layouts, where you have the titles of the chapters laid out inside of the panel itself, such as what he's done right here with the title Gulag across both pages. And again here with the No Escape title pictured right there. He really people who know Steranko's art, you'll know what I mean when I say he's really channeling Steranko in that style. He also has a very nice grit to his style here that I think matches the emotion of these issues. It's a really dark story dealing with Bucky and his past. So as for the story, I already explained basically how he got to this point and why there's issues of two different series that star both Bucky and then one with Steve. But as for the story of what's going on here, the main villains that we have here are Sin, the daughter of the Red Skull, and we also have Baron Zemo as a main villain here. So what's going on, and spoilers, so if y'all are not wanting to hear any spoilers, then don't pay attention. Baron Zemo has basically tracked down Bucky and he's going against him, and eventually it leads to the actual trial of Captain America arc, which has Bucky Barnes going on trial for the crimes that he committed as the Winter Soldier. So he owns up basically to what he's done, and the arc that follows it is entitled Gulag, and Gulag has Bucky actually going to a Russian prison. So there's a really interesting, it's like a sort of like a trilogy of events in No Escape, the trial of Captain America, and Gulag that wrap up really well Bucky's tenure as Captain America, and then it goes straight into the whole Steve Rogers becoming Captain America again. And that story is actually pretty different. In that story, we see Ed Brubaker is joined by artist Steve McNiven, who's known very famously for Old Man Logan and Civil War, and they pit Steve against another type of super soldiers type character. The artwork in this art was phenomenal. However, Steve McNiven is known for having delays on his issues and stuff, so unfortunately it took a while for this to go through. It took a while for him to actually produce all the his issues on the series. And while a lot of people were really excited to have him as the ongoing artist, as is per usual with Steve McNiven, he wound up leaving the series after that first arc, and afterwards we see Alan Davis take over as the main artist. And as with the rest of Brubaker's Captain America volumes, we see a lot of those supporting cast members that he's really made a huge part of the franchise. We see, of course, there's Bucky and there's Steve, and then there's Sam Wilson as the Falcon. We have Sharon Carter, Agent 13. We have, different members of S.H.I.E.L.D. that show up. Black Widow is in there. We get a lot of different people. Brubaker really likes solidifying that supporting cast that he's given Steve. So it's a really important part of Brubaker's run. I think that he really utilizes it well in here. So yeah, that's going to be Captain America Trial of Captain America Omnibus. So like I said, it's one of my favorite parts. Actually, it is my favorite part of Brubaker's entire run on Captain America, so this volume itself comes highly recommended from me. I'm sure if you have the other three, you're going to be wanting to pick this one up. The artwork throughout is just phenomenal. There's so many great artists working on this book in particular, but Brubaker always has amazing artists working with him, and if you're a fan of Captain America, then this is definitely one that you're going to want to pick up. Now after this, we only have one more volume, and that's The Return of the Winter Soldier, and if you watched one of my previous haul videos, you know that I do have that one, and I'm going to be doing a video for that one soon, so stay tuned for that. So as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment down below, and subscribe, and check out my website at www.theomnibuscollector.com. We have a really awesome community going on over there where we talk about comics all the time, what's coming out, what we'd like to see come out, predictions on stuff, recommendations, tips on where to find certain books for good prices, all kinds of stuff. It's a really awesome community, so I'd be happy for all of y'all to join it. So you guys be excellent unto each other, and we'll see you next time.